We're going with a tier-based approach to swap this year. And this was the only way that we really could have done it because of the intensity of the power laws. You can't do things linearly because it's going to end up with a very small number of people taking all of the tokens. Our goal is to grow the pie. We need to make sure that other people can receive this invitation to the DAO. And for that reason, we had to go tiers. It was really the only option that we had. We've also got feedback about the tier structuring. So in an earlier draft, we had tier structuring that I think made sense from an internal perspective, but was maybe a little bit harder to understand for people on the outside. So we've standardized that in ways that I'll describe right now. And then finally, many people were worried about Sybils and bots.
Yeah, we ran a bunch of analysis. So we did like cluster analysis. We looked at like patterns of your transactions. And I think we identified almost like more than 500,000 Sybils from our initial data set, and we purged all of them from the allocation. We really want to focus on real users and focus on our community, and that work allows us to give the rest of you a more meaningful drop.
We can't tell you like literally everything that was done because there was a lot of analysis done, but just a few of the things that kind of came up here. May, do you want to talk about these 3 things real quick?
We also remove wallets that traded for less than 3 weeks because we really want our users who are dedicated users who will be back to engage with our products and to continue to grow the Jupiverse with us. So our priority is on the users who have been back more consistently. Basically, in terms of like sanitizing the data, we looked at it in 2 ways. So on a transaction level, we took out things like circular transactions in order to make the volume more pure. And then we also look at it at a wallet level. So if this wallet doesn't seem to be a genuine user and is doing a lot of very illiquid tokens and a lot of like circular transactions, those wallets will be taken out as well.
The final thing to say about the swap before I tell you about the tiers is that these are not based purely on volume alone, which means if you've been looking at some of the Dune dashboards and other things that are out there, it's not going to be the same. Some people are under, I think, the mistaken impression of how much they're going to get. We actually had to do, for the first time ever, a swap score. And to build this, they looked at literally hundreds of millions of transactions and had to normalize each one of them to the USD value of that transaction at that time.
We are not looking purely at your volume. We are calibrating like kind of like a proprietary Jupiter swap score to make it more meaningful. So for example, we only count transactions that are more than $5. We noticed that there were like some wallets that did a lot of transactions, hundreds of thousands of transactions, and when you look at the overall volume, it's like $10. So that is probably something that a regular user is not going to do. And yeah, we cleaned those transactions out. We also discounted the SOL-to-SOL swap and stablecoin swap volume in the score because those is very easy for people to move volume. And we want to try to make it more normalized across the entire distribution of users that we have.
With that said, here are the final swap tiers. You can see these over here. So starting at the bottom here, if you're 500 was your qualifying score, you're going to get 25 Jup. The next tier up, you'll get 50. If you had a qualifying score of 1,000, then 10,000, then 100,000. Again, you can see these are much easier to understand than our initial thing. So hopefully it's easier for everyone to kind of find their place. And then you can see at the top end here, if you had more than 10 million as your qualifying score, you would get a 20K allocation of Jup, which is pretty juicy. If you were consistent, if you are a regular user of Jupiter, it makes it more likely that you're going to want to join the JupiterDAO and contribute back to the vision because you've known over a period of time the value that Jupiter can add in your life. So for the first time ever, we created a special swap consistency bonus, which means if you swapped in at least 8 months out of the last year, you will get an extra bonus of 25 to 500 Jup depending on your tier. So we looked at both of these coming together to make this a little bit easier. Remember, everything is going to stack, right? So if you use swap and you're an expert trader and you're a staker, all of those things will come together in your allocation here.